Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at using some stencils in a different way. So I'm starting off on a page that I already had some used up paint on, so pinks and so on, and I'm using this stencil from Dina Wakley, which is called the Pensive Lady. And I'm just using my Posca paint pen to draw around the face portion of the stencil. So I get this drawn on the face. Now this is inspired by an artist on Instagram, Australian artist called, I'm not sure what she's called, but Inkurablesarah. I'm really sorry, Sarah. I think her name's Sarah. And she did this, and it was just such a clever idea. And I just wanted to play with it. So I've drawn out the stencil of the face. It's going to be a wonky old face, but it sort of really reminds me of those magazine collages, the Teesha Moore type artwork. And it suddenly sort of made me think about my stencils in a completely different way, because you can really play around with stencils and use the insides of them, the positives and the negatives, in lots of different ways. So I would encourage you to really experiment with the different stencils you've got, especially if you've got some face stencils, and see if you can do something similar. So once I had drawn out the face, this is a cool body from Dilutions, little diamond that I thought that would really suit my whole piece. Then at the top of the image I drew the hair. Now because I wanted it to look really sort of hand-drawn, I'm actually going around with a white pen, like I do in a lot of my magazine collages and outlining stuff. The other thing that you saw me do was put the whites of the eye in, and the catch-all is something I do on all my stencils or images that I put down that have got faces on it. It just draws your eye to make sure it's got a face. You'll notice I put in a little bit of a neck too, just to join it up to the body, and again I thought I'd go with the stripes to match it. Now as I was doing this, I decided the pink was a little bit too pink, so I've got my paint pen out. You could obviously use acrylic paint, and I'm painting in the face, and I really love the contrast this gave. Since I've done this a few times after, I've actually just drawn it out onto white cardboard, and you've just got a really stark effect, which I really love, which gives you a brilliant contrast with a sort of patterned background. So I'm going in with the second coat, and you can see the difference that makes to the piece just by having the face coloured in. Now I've kind of done this backwards because I saw what the artist on Instagram did, and I was just so blown away by it. It's like I need to play with this. So I just jumped into my journal onto a page that I had and started playing with it. Usually what I would do is put down a border first and then sort of put my image over the top. So in a little while you'll actually see me sort of working backwards right now, because I'm going to use some washi tape to make a border around it. So instead of gluing the feet over the top of the washi, I've had to cut it out. But that's okay. If you've got a knife, you can cut it through. Just don't press too hard, because you just want to cut through the washi, not through the paper itself. So obviously you can sort of see it would be better to do this first than now. The washi tape that I've got is from All and Create, I think. I really love particularly black and white washies. They're great for this sort of thing, because they just again give you that really high contrast between what you're doing. So when I'm doing borders on magazine collages like this, or if I'm using washi tape like this, I always give it an internal border as well, just to really sharpen it up and make it stand out from the background. So I was really pleased with how this turned out. It's very reminiscent of the sort of Teesha Moore collages, magazine collages, and I loved it that there was sort of that using a stencil, yes, but that hand-drawn element to it. So I'm going in and writing quote. I decided to use the blue to pick up from the blue in the diamond, and I use the diamond as a bit of a inspiration for the quote that I wrote on this too. Now I'm writing in paint pen, and you notice I made a mistake, or I had to write the word succeeded, and it just wasn't fitting. I didn't like it split up, the word split up, so I decided to write it over the diamond. Because I was working on a dried acrylic surface, I was able to wipe the wet acrylic paint off with the paint pen. And it's one of the reasons why I really like writing with paint pen over the acrylic paint, because I do have that element that I can just wipe it away. I'm a bit heavy-handed when it comes to pencils, so I struggle with that a little bit. And if I'd written on pencil on the paper, it would have marked and so on. So I find using the paint pen just easier. Personal choice for me, but that's how we go. So once I've finished writing the quote out, I always write it out just with thin letters to get the spacing right. When I'm happy, I go back in and widen up the letters so it fills in the space a little bit more. And now I'm going around with my paint pen, white paint pen, to give it a border, which you'll see in the close-up at the end. Usually I'll only give a shadow or a highlight to my letters, but sometimes I actually completely outline them. It's just whatever you fancy doing. If you've got space and time to do it, you might do it. So yeah, it's just a different way to do it. You'll also notice I'm not too concerned if I write into the border or write over my image. For me, the quote is the important bit. I'm obviously avoiding the face. I wouldn't put the quote into the face, but the quote is the important bit, so I don't mind if it goes over into the corners. Just to help pop it out a little bit, I'm also doing a shadow with a thin black pen. You can see on the blue, because it's blue on blue, it just helps pop it out from the background a little bit, gives it a little bit of depth. So once I've finished doing this, I'm going to do some journaling on the other side. And again, this is something I tend to do a lot when I'm doing these sort of magazine collages. I like to put a biggish quote that sort of sums it all up, and then on the opposite side I like to put my own thoughts of why I've written that or what that means to me. So my favourite way to do it is to draw out wiggly lines and then use my pen and fill in the spaces. So what happens is it is readable, but it kind of ends up being more of a pattern in the background. So it's not obvious in your face words to read. When you look up close, you can read it, but it tends to sort of play a little bit of a trick on your eyes and makes it kind of look like a pattern in the background somewhat. So just finally, just adding in a few little different touches. So adding some extra blue into her feet and putting some blue eyes in, just to bump up the colour a little bit. So that's the end of this page. So just from that inspiration of using the stencil in a different way, it's such a beautiful stencil. I love using it in its original way, but this has just opened up so many different possibilities, and it's just so quick and easy to do, and particularly if you like this style of artwork. So thank you very much for watching. Check out the link below, and I will leave the name to, I think, Sarah's artwork, so you can check out her original piece that she did that inspired me. And until next time, bye for now.